Greetings and salutations, my lovelies. I have a pretty simple piece for you today, and part of that is because, well, I did procrastinate a little bit, but I've been really busy lately, and it got to the point where it was Wednesday, like early afternoon, and I was like, shoot, I don't have anything yet. And I had actually started recording this one previously and had done the sketch and ink and decided that I wasn't sure I liked where it was going. But since I was on a time crunch, I decided, okay, I've been told that the way I color is really good and that it's one of the better parts of my art, so let's see if I can supposedly save this piece if I go ahead and do that. I think a large part of the problem with this one, though, is just that I was trying to do something different than what I normally do. She's supposed to have very sharp features and kind of an elongated face, and I think the eyes did still end up maybe a little high and I think maybe a little small for her face, but I think it's just because it's such a different character type than I normally draw, and I don't know. Maybe that's all it is. I still am not 100% happy with it, but I think it's probably better than what I feel about it. As for the character herself, this is Mageeca, and she is an OC of mine from probably close to 13 years ago. She's an elf that had fallen in love with a vampire, and they had this wonderful, loving relationship, and he promised that he would never turn her. But of course, he's a vampire, so he did end up getting hungry one night, and he was desperate, and she was tempting, and so he turned her. So she was betrayed by the person she loved, and then beyond that, in a fit of vampiric rage, having just been turned and not really able to control herself, she kills him. So she's a pretty dark, angsty character. She's probably the closest thing I have to like a super edgy, I'm a teenager and writing about dark stuff kind of character. But I always kind of like mentally enjoyed her design, and obviously there's not much of her design shown here since this is just a little portrait. I'd like to do a full body of her at some point as well. She's just always very classy and regal, and she wears like long, beautiful dresses and everything, and she's a character that I've never actually drawn before, so I was going through some of my really old character profiles from more when I was doing more online role-playing because I had actually the time to do it, and was like, I've never drawn her. Let's draw her. So that's why I did this. And so that's the story of this OC, which means original character if you don't know that. And if you're interested in more of my OCs and getting to know them and seeing drawings of them, do let me know. I have a lot of them, so if that's something you'd love to see, I'd love to know that. Here I was trying to do something with her skin tone where like I tried to have like as little like kind of flesh color as possible because she is a vampire. She doesn't have, like blood coursing through her veins on a regular basis, so she's not going to have like that nice pink healthy glow. And I feel like I was pretty successful, but I also feel like it's lacking contrast. It seems a little flat to me still, so that's something that if I'm going to try to do this again, I'll need some practice. But that's what art is you always improve, you always practice. You can't make something perfect right away. You have to learn how to do it that way. So that's another reason that maybe it's a good thing that I went ahead and did this piece, even though I wasn't 100% happy with it. That's not to say that if you're not happy with something, you have to force yourself through it, because sometimes that's the worst thing you can do too. It's really just a matter of figuring out what's good for you and doing that. So in this case, I think it was a positive experience for me to go ahead and color this piece that I wasn't 100% happy with when I first got started. And so with coloring, one of the things that I've mentioned in previous videos, I did start with the lightest colors, which was her skin tone, and then kind of am working through to do like to the darkest tone. Also, it was about here, roundabout, where I went, oh god, she looks like the Joker from Batman. And it couldn't really be helped. Her hair is supposed to be like a teal color, and I think if it was a little more blue, it would have been better, but I'm still pretty pleased with the color choice by the end of it. But right here, I'm just like, oh, she's got this green hair and this white skin, and her lips are bright red, and she just looks like the Joker. But these things happen too. And this is something that now I can think about that when I go to do more design work for her, and maybe make some conscious choices to be like, well, is that okay? You know, do I want to make her hair more blue? Do I want to actually put a bit more flesh tone in her skin to make her less white? And it's just another way of looking at it when I go to do the rest of that design work. Yeah, so one other thing that I did was towards the end, I'm going to like show it to you and I'm going to sign it, but then there's going to be a second section, and that's where I had finished the piece, I thought, and then I went and started working on something else, and I kept looking at it, and every time I saw it, I was like, it just doesn't look finished. And so I actually do go in and put a color in the background, because even at this point, you can kind of see how, like, where she doesn't have a lot of contrast in her skin tone, it looks very much like it was just not done, not colored. And when you put that next to the background that's just white, oh, I forgot to record again. I get in these things where I sometimes like am in the opposite of what I think am doing, and that happened last time, and I'm really mad that it happened again. But anyway, so here you see it. She's just got this really white skin and that really white background, and it just makes it feel really unfinished. And so what I did was, you'll see here in a moment, I show you the picture again, but I've put like a pink in the background. One of the colors that I used in the lips, not that you can really tell because the red overpowered the lips. And I feel like that helped pull it all together, because now it feels like that whiteness is intentional. It's not just left blank like the background. Don't forget that I always put my social media stuff in the description, so you can check all of that out there. And as always, I do hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I love you all.